Sheely spoke and made this clear has worked wonders to soften media opinion about what actually happened. So now, certain media outlets who previously held for Lucy are now at least open to the idea that maybe there's something wrong with her position. But the battle lines are drawn in the struggle to free Lucy Letby, and there are two sides. The establishment is willfully ignoring all of the new evidence and every sign that this woman was framed up. The Thirlwall inquiry taking place here absolutely refuses to hear any criticism of the frame-up and of the conviction. Recently, the police saw fit to announce that they have broadened their investigation at the hospital. We don't know who they are investigating or for what, but we do know one thing. The establishment will concede nothing until they're absolutely forced to do so. This is the lesson of the Birmingham 6, the Guildford 4, and the post office scam. So what we learn from that is that they will go to the end of the earth to defend their justice system, even if it means keeping innocent people locked up in prison. So now the National Health Service, which exploits the selflessness and dedication of nurses, in particular of women workers, had no compunction about blaming the deaths of these babies on this young working class woman, Lucy Letby. This is a class issue. And the point for us is that at every step of the way, the struggle to free Lucy Letby will meet with resistance, but we will fight and make sure that it actually happens. In particular, we campaign for the unions in the National Health Service to take up this case. We think it's shameful that the Royal College of Nursing remains silent while medical experts are working hard to prove that Lucy Letby is innocent. We think that the RCN must be revitalized and set up and defend their own and their under attack, but also that the trade unions should be mobilized for others. For example, when we defend pro-Palestinian protesters who were arrested in the demonstrations, and we're involved in a campaign in defense of the Manchester partisan defense committee that brings us here today together for freedom, for Lucy Letby. From all sides of the political spectrum, and we welcome that. Of course, we will put on many things, but we're here because we're united on one goal, which is to see the goal.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will not know when this demonstration is taking place. So let's assume that at some point Lucy will know that we stood here, that we are on her side. We're campaigning for her freedom, and so let's just conclude with one thing. Here's the thing we all agree. Lucy Letby must be free. What's the thing we all agree?
Lucy Letby must be free.
What's the one thing we agree?
Lucy Letby must be free.
One more time, what do we agree?
Lucy Letby must be free.
Hello. If anyone would like to say a few words to the demonstration, just come and let me know and put your names forward. What we intend to do is have a few speeches. We also have Dan here who has offered to play some tunes. He has already started.
Sorry, it's just enough.
Where's Dan? He's right there at the back. We intend to conclude when all the attendees at the Thirlwall inquiry have gone in. So we will wrap it up around about 10 o'clock or shortly afterwards. We want to conclude by singing for Lucy Letby, led by Dan, You'll Never Walk Alone. We think that would be very nice coming from Liverpool. And following that, it so happens that there's a Weatherspoons performance prepared, so we will go have a libation and turn our cameras together. So, anyone who would like to speak?
Hello, my name is Damon. I am originally from Ukraine. I am a refugee who lived in UK for the last 5 years. And I want to speak in support of Lucy Letby because it was very obvious that her case was not true. I was listening to a lot of podcasts about her. I was reading articles, and I think it's because I came from Ukraine. I was also living in Russia sometimes, and I came from area when from Soviet Union times there was a lot of cases where people was framed for completely wrong accusations. One of my best friends was framed at the same time for he was living in occupied Chechnya. He was framed at the same time for being an Islamic terrorist and being true pro-Western. That is completely bullshit. But when I was working in the media, I was framed for recruiting women for ISIS using feminist ideas just because I was taking interview from some woman who is from Islamic background. So I know what it is, and UK is country of freedom. Basically, when I came to UK, for the first time, I feel here that you can be free and justice system here is working. Then I recognize that it's not always like this. And in case of Lucy Letby, it's absolutely obvious after the commission that was, after Dr. Lee commission, that was obvious that the best scientists, neonatologists from all around the globe came to say that no killing happened. These people was doing it for free. They were spending their time, despite that they are world-class experts. And after that, Lucy Letby stay in prison without the second trial. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's also absolutely ridiculous what was used to frame her. For example, the note that she wrote when she was on therapy, when she was writing like, I am evil, but at the same time, what's happened with me? Her therapist asking her to write down everything that came to her head. This is the stuff the therapist is doing here. This is the classical stuff the therapist is doing here.
Hi,
No
bless you.
serial killers, even ask any profiler, no serial
Actually.
killers.
Where are you?
I am
There. This is Carl. And he's doing brilliant for Free Lucy.
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you
It's
too.
because of your YouTube channel that I really got involved in this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, glad.
Because all people who now going on charity, you can be on the place. You can basically be on the place. It's also
You know
like
what?
safety
We really got
of
through
your...
this one. And
Yeah,
quick.
definitely.
It's also
Definitely. That rate.
Yeah. And the people...
I just want to make a very, very short and sweet speech. You don't have to be a socialist to realise that Lucy is innocent. All you need to be is a fair, free-minded,
Here come the police.
open-minded person.
What's going on here?
You only have to look at this case to realise that it was sad, very, very sad. We're very, very good. They were free each other. The mothers had problems, and sadly, Dr. Shuley has demonstrated with the world's leading neonatologists that, in fact, all of our babies died because of natural causes. Mistakes. Now, we don't, we all make mistakes. We don't blame them. What we should do, blame other people for our mistakes. It seems now, there's obviously a class and you've got a nurse who is lower down the hierarchy, who is not. Now, when you come to the trial, all you have to realise is all of the convictions do not rest on fact, they rest entirely on opinion. And I'm not going to say whose opinion, but you all know whose opinion these unjust and, well, they don't serve, they are unjust because they do not serve natural justice. They're unjust verdicts. They all rest on opinion, and really and truly they should. I don't know how but this is a class issue because originally Lucy was victimised, not by her line manager, day by day. He was a very, very good worker, but it seemed to be higher ups that picked off her. And in fact, if she had said, I'm trained, this is the job I want to do, to be a neonatal nurse, if she had said that, if she had just gone to that office and stuttering, and then other opportunities, I'm sure she would have found this whole thing would not be taking place. We know full well she took, she held her grievances, she won. There was, until a certain person came onto the scene.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Carl Perkins, who some of you will know from YouTube. By the way, the BBC is here. They want to have an image of us with our banners and so on. So stand up straight, hold up your banners, look nice for the BBC. And here, I'll give the microphone over to Carl.
Well, good morning everyone, and thank you all for coming. Oh, I didn't even realise we should be there. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good turnout, it's quite amazing. And, you know, I'm very grateful to Lucy Letby and all the YouTubers who are trying to campaign for her to get either a retrial or to be exonerated. Are pleased that we've got not just a good turnout, but that everybody goes out of their way to share the information with friends, family, and everyone. Now, I come from a background originally of working in the public sector, so my first job was working in the civil service. I worked in the civil service for 11 years, and I left the civil service under similar circumstances to Lucy Letby. I spent a whole year of being investigated for something I absolutely didn't do, and they had no evidence, they just had an allegation. And I just got fed up, and I just thought, I don't need this job, I can do better somewhere else, and I just walked out. And, you know, I was in a fortunate position where I wasn't working in healthcare, but whilst I worked in the civil service, I used to also monitor miscarriages of justice. So I used to do things like, way back in about 1987 or something like that, I travelled from London to Manchester to go to, that was probably my first real demonstration to stop the deportation of a guy called Viraz Mendes. He was a refugee. And I went to lots and lots of demonstrations, such as Stephen Lawrence, after Stephen Lawrence was murdered, you know, all the cover-up that went on over that. Winston Silcott, who was falsely accused and prosecuted and imprisoned for the murder of PC Playtop. It turned out he was totally innocent. They had later on got evidence that someone else committed that crime. And just so many other demonstrations. I'll mention one in particular because that is really important to me. A gentleman called Sean Rigg, who was suffering from a mental crisis, and the police were called, and he was detained by the police, and he was murdered by the police. And I don't mind, I know the police have been exonerated, but the video evidence, if you look online, is quite clear that he was murdered by the police. And you know, I've been to many demonstrations relating to that. But back to Lucy Letby. The reason I'm particularly incensed by the Lucy Letby case is because usually, dare I say, historically, it's been the black community that's been targeted in the way that Lucy Letby's been targeted, where there's been no evidence, no eyewitnesses, no DNA, no fingerprints, nothing. With Lucy Letby, all they have is innuendo and speculation. There is no evidence that she did anything. In fact, the evidence that's coming out now suggests she did nothing, literally did nothing, other than care
Her job.
for patients.
All she did was her job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like 60 hours a week.
By
And
locking her
yeah,
up
exactly. 60
and
hours.
throwing
Yeah.
away the key,
Over and above.
that is basically
She's good at her job
giving her a death sentence. That is a death sentence because, you know, one, knowing that you're never going to be released from prison, how would you feel? How would you feel? You'd feel like that's the end of your
Devastated.
life.
Yeah.
You know, you probably want to take your life. And if not, then maybe other prisoners will see her as a target because one, she's accused of killing babies, and two, she's high profile. So, you know, there's prisoners out there who like to get this sort of, you know, medal of honor that they attacked another prisoner, a high profile prisoner. But the fact that she did nothing and she's now put in such danger is of a lot of concern to me. I mean, think of it this way. I was thinking about it this morning. Can you imagine if you're a landlord of a property and your responsibility as a landlord is to get your boiler serviced every year and you don't do it? And 7 years down the line, the boiler explodes and your tenants die. And then the police arrest your neighbour for tampering with your boiler, even though they have no evidence that you tampered with the boiler. They don't arrest the landlord who didn't comply with the rules and regulations as a landlord and get the boiler serviced. And the reason the boiler blew up was because it wasn't serviced and checked regularly. Now, this is what happened in the Council of Chester Hospital. I know it's a weird analogy, but this is what happened in the Council of Chester Hospital. The consultants were supposed to check on the babies twice a day. They checked on the babies twice a week, and babies died. The reason they needed to check on these babies because they were so vulnerable. My mother was a nurse for the whole time. She came to this country when she was 17 from Jamaica, worked in the NHS until she retired as a nurse. And you know, I spent a lot of time, in the old days, they used to let kids run around the wards. So during the summer holidays, I would go and help my mother hand out food and hand out medication. I know it's crazy, and stuff like that. But, you know, I saw how difficult a job it is to be a nurse, you know, and I saw the doctors doing their due diligence. In the Countess of Chester, the doctors were not doing their due diligence. They were on TV as celebrity doctors when they should have been on the wards, and they were doing other things that they shouldn't have been doing. They were not focused on those very, very tiny babies that needed the best care possible. And now they use Lucy Letby as a scapegoat. And, you know, it's just disgusting. And that is the reason I started my channel. When I really read up on that New Yorker article, I thought I'd do some more research, and, you know, I just went down that rabbit hole and found more and more information that suggests that she's innocent. And, you know, this is why I'm here today. And I've been criticised by, dare I say it, friends and family and people within my community saying, you know, there's lots of black people who need this sort of help. But to be honest with you, this is the worst miscarriage of justice that I've ever seen in my life. And this is why I'm here. And, you know, I'm not going to stop until Lucy Letby is released.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay here. I come here, people know I've done videos outside here. I've been inside the Thirlwall inquiry. I've done videos outside. I've interviewed people on the streets about what they think about it. And, you know, I'm going to keep campaigning. I'm going to keep spreading the word. And that's what I want everyone else to do. Keep spreading the word until she gets out. Because as soon as she gets out, the more chance that, you know, she will get out in one piece.
God bless you too.
That's what I want.
God bless you. Yeah.
Well,
Keep
you're all
going.
superstars. You're all superstars, and I mean that's all I've got to say
Yeah.
for today. But you know, I'll walk around and I'll speak to everybody if I can. But I'm flying abroad later today, so I won't be here very. I'll be here until about 10:30, 11. So anybody who wants to come and talk to me, I'll welcome. a
Bless
few words
you.
with them.
Keep going, Carl. Keep
Okay,
going.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. We'll just do a couple more chants now. How about this? Fight the frame up. Now's the time. Lucy Letby committed no crime.
Yay.
Fight the frame up. Now's the time. Lucy Letby committed no crime. Fight the frame up. Now's the time.
Lucy Letby committed no crime.
Fight the frame up.
Now's the time. Lucy Letby committed no crime.
Lucy Letby must be free. Nurses need a victory. Lucy Letby
must be free.
Nurses need a victory.
Must be free.
Nurses need a victory.
Lucy Letby must be free.
Nurses need a victory.
I want to read a statement from a group called 19 Nurses. This is a group of very courageous nurses who last August sent an open letter to the Prime Minister Keir Starmer pointing out that with the conviction of Lucy Letby, every nurse who works in the National Health Service is terrified
Absolutely.
that they could
Let's
be
jail them all, innit?
they could be the next scapegoat
Won't happen,
for the
but, you know.
failings of the system
People go
itself.
on it.
So let me just find
Pull it out. Pull it out. Yes, come on now. We need more of these protests, don't we? Start at little ones in every town, you know.
This is their statement to the Thirlwall inquiry, which I think
Oh,
is very
hold on.
relevant to read here today.
Oh, yeah.
The voices of the nurses.
Lucy, no,
is-
absolutely.
It's often not
Absolutely.
heard in media coverage
it.
of the Lucy Letby.
There we go, on the back.
They can have their registration
Just do
revoked
it.
and so on. So we
Just
totally
get her
understand
out and
why
get
they
the
cannot be
criminals
seen in public
in
at this
jail, isn't it?
demonstration.
Oh, it's-
but they're being
I've been
heard.
watching this for
This is
months and
why
months
I
and
want to read
Yeah.
I'm
to them.
sorted.
I want to
Yeah.
read
I'm full of it,
to the rally
Yeah,
this
yeah.
statement
This
that
is
they
it.
It becomes a
put on
good
the
obsession,
website.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's an obsession.
In fact,
I'm
they
in
represent
5
over
Facebook groups, you know,
500
so
nurses,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
very
Constantly.
Very courageous
Well,
nurses.
do you know what? It was
Their
when I
statement says,
first saw the
"As nurses,
documentary
we
they
must
did,
speak out
Yeah.
regarding
saying,
Lucy
oh,
Letby's
she's a
conviction.
killer, you know,
This is
killer
not
babes. I
just
thought,
about one
why the need to
colleague.
do,
This case
why the need to do a
threatens our
documentary? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
getting the public on side. And that was when I first thought, I don't know, maybe she's innocent. But that was before anything came out. Before David Davis got on it. Before.
I actually thought when I very first saw the picture of her and I looked at her eyes, I thought just something in her eyes said to me that she didn't strike me as a killer.
Yeah.
I know looks can be deceiving, but
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
just thought this doesn't seem right.
Right.
you know.
Exactly that. Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Must be
No,
suspended
it was just that and nobody had said anything at that stage. I thought, why the need to get the public on side against this wicked, evil nurse, you know, that's killed these babies and attempted to murder? I thought, why would you do that? Why, you know, I'm thinking,
No
is she innocent? And then it started coming out, didn't it? David Davis got on it, Peter Hitchens got behind it. I thought, well, now, come on now, what's really in it? You know, what's really going on?
These people don't put the neck on the chopping block for nothing, do they?
Oh no, they've got reputations. Yeah, oh yeah. So when some heavyweights get behind it, you know, and then you start, and then Shuley, as it came out with his press, I thought, well, that just seals it, doesn't it? I mean, that's without a doubt. Yeah,
Incredible.
I mean, and they're all doing it pro bono as well. And how many of them is it? 19, 20 experts all over the world getting together doing this. They're not doing it for the money. They don't need the money. They're doing it for what's right.
Correct.
Get this woman out of jail now.
Got to get her out.
Get her out, yeah, she's a young lass. She's done nothing, she's doing a job. Oops.
Do you know if the film will stop today, or is it tomorrow it stops? Does it finish
I've got a
today?
feeling it's today. I think so, yeah.
I mean, that's another waste of public money, isn't it? I mean, God knows how much this is costing.
Yeah, all paid for by the taxpayers, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, truly evil. I mean, yeah. Those bastards who framed her need to rot in hell, and the police behind it as well. It's sick.
The police have got hands dirty in this one.
Oh yeah.
But obviously, those consultants now, they're not really going to get away. Well, they'll get away with the manslaughter charges because they'll have insurance at the end.
Yeah.
But whether the reputations will stay in.
Well, no, they won't.
They'll lose their reputation.
No, they won't. When she gets freed, they'll be, and she will, but this is when, we don't know when, but it will happen. I just hope, it's soon, because poor woman, what's going on with her mental health? Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby!
Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby!
Justice!
Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby!
Free Lucy Letby!
Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby!
The next speaker I have is Vincent David. He's the editor of Workers' Hammer newspaper. If there's anyone else who would like to speak after that,
Colwyn
just come
Bay.
and see me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not bad, eh?
Yeah, not bad.
One and three quarter. One and three quarter. Oh, well,
Yeah,
one and
very
three
good.
quarter hours on the train. Yeah. Where are you from? Then?
Hello everyone. My name is Vincent.
Stoke,
I'm
yeah.
from Spartacus
Yeah.
Link. We're a socialist group
Bless
which
you.
works
And
with
everyone do
the
their little bit.
community.
You know what
And
I think?
we say free Lucy Letby.
People should do little
denounce
protests
her
in their little
jailing,
areas.
And we denounce the third
Yeah.
world
Touches
inquiry
out.
for
Yeah, of
rubber
course.
stamping this travesty of justice.
Whatever you can do, isn't it?
I just
But the
just think
fight
you
for
have to
Lucy
tell as
Letby
many
has
people
much
as possible,
broader
don't you?
implication.
I mean,
Lucy Letby was
my niece was
scapegoated
an
for failing
absolute, said, oh yeah,
NHS.
she's a terrible woman
The
and all
NHS
that.
has
She's
been
changed
attacked
their tune.
by
Right, that's
decades
good. Yeah,
under the
yeah,
Tories and
yeah,
Labour.
exactly. I mean, people are too
It's
quick
been
to
left to
believe
rot.
the bastards
And when
who are
the
the
consequences
propaganda, innit?
of this
Pushing the
rampage
propaganda. That's what it is.
We're being felt in the most
Like I
tragic
say, we'll
ways.
watch the video. I
They
posted
blame
loads of
a worker
videos. We
like they
all do,
always
don't we,
do.
on Facebook and
That's
that.
why
It's
Lucy
like
Letby is in jail.
watch the videos,
So the fight
and
to
then
free
make your
Lucy
mind up.
Letby
Watch
is a
what the
fight to
experts are
save the
saying about this.
NHS.
I mean,
There's no crime committed. Well, there is a crime,
Lucy
but
Letby
no one was
is a working class
murdered.
woman.
No babies murdered.
She worked hard to
That's
make
the
up
point.
for a crumbling system. And she was squeezed like a lemon, like all nurses are.
Those evil
And she faced
consultants, they
intimidation
started all
and
this.
bullying,
The witch hunt.
absolutely
like all nurses
terrible,
face.
Yeah.
really.
And in the end, she won an
Stephen, what
important
was it?
tribunal
Briar,
and they
I forget
destroyed
the names
her.
now, but yeah, there's a few of them
So
on
the fight to
there.
free
Four, I
Lucy
think, four of them.
Letby is a working class struggle.
Evil.
What do your family think of it all? Anyway, have anybody?
They haven't
they made
really
any-
looked into
And the
it
fight
like me.
to
I mean,
free
I was
Lucy
trying to
Letby
get
is also a
everyone,
struggle for
I was trying to get
all
people to
women
come with, but
workers
no, I'm on my own.
who make
You know,
NHS
but yeah, I
staff
thought, well,
who
you
are
know.
treated
Well,
like shit and whose
It's
dedication
just one of
is
them things,
abused
isn't it? You know.
every
Yeah,
day.
It's a bit like the 9/11 thing. If you get into the 9/11,
Yeah,
Health
they haven't really had
Minister,
the time, you know,
West
to
Streeting.
look at stuff. You know, I mean, I've got my teeth into it, and that's it. You know, and I thought, great, there's a protest, I'm going.
A killer,
You
and
You
that
know,
no one
even if
should
I'm
be
on my own,
campaigning
I've
for her.
got
it
to
doesn't matter, does it?
That's no surprise
I
coming
thought,
from
well,
an
you know,
arrogant hack.
whoever can get there, great,
And
you
then
know.
the same
I thought
West
there'd be
Streeting
more,
has
but
declared that he's
I
going to
think-
sack
I think
tens of
protest-
thousands of
I
NHS
think-
staff.
Could be some more too.
As part of his plan to
Later as we go
further
on.
gut the
I think
NHS
it will,
and
you know,
privatize
it
it.
will improve. I think it will get
So
better.
if the
There'll
third
be
wall
more and more.
inquiry was investigating the truth,
Oh, yeah.
because obviously they're
That's a
not
dirty word,
investigating
isn't
the
it?
truth.
Truth.
If they were investigating
Justice.
the truth,
Dirty
they would be
word, yeah.
That's
investigating
what we want.
how
Justice,
years
yeah.
of attacks have destroyed the NHS, how this is killing people,
Yeah.
and how Letby
There's
was
a couple of
scapegoated for
YouTubers
this.
over here that
And if they
I've
were investigating the truth, they would
Oh, I
spoken
just
to.
met Carl over there.
Yeah, there's
That-
Carl and then
Gutting
there's
the
Mark
NHS,
Mays and another lad.
education.
Oh, where's Mark
benefits,
Mays?
living
Where's-
standards.
There, standing next to the
spending
lad with the
billions for
slightly balding
weapons
head there.
to send
There with the
NATO
brown
to
jacket
Israel.
is talking to him.
They would conclude that this will lead
Oh, that's
to
Mark
more
Mays, isn't
avoidable
it?
death,
Oh,
to more scapegoat. You see, all these things are
Say hello to him
connected.
then.
Yeah, I'm going to say hello in a minute.
So the fight for Lucy Letby is a fight against West Streeting, against Keir Starmer, and against the Labour government, which is an anti-working class government. It is a fight against the entire system they defend.
Do you know who,
Lucy Letby was a trade union member, the RCN.
Do you know
I think
Where is
it's
the RCN today?
the Hammer something or
Where
other.
are the trade unions?
like a
Unison,
that
Unite, the
lady where she
GMB,
got-
they're supposed to
socialist.
defend
The lady over
workers.
there in the building.
Yet not a single trade
Yeah,
union
she
leader
started
has
it.
spoken up in favor of
Yeah,
Letby.
that,
Do you know why?
Stuff like that, yeah.
Because they support the Labour government. They take their cues from West Streeting. Shame on them.
Yeah.
Shame on them for not having the courage to stand up to West Streeting and to the entire establishment and say, Lucy Letby is a trade union member. She was scapegoated. We will fight for her.
Yes.
That's what the Labour movement must say.
Yeah.
And that's also why in the Spartacus League, we fight in the trade unions so that they be led by real socialists, not like the coward currently in place, so that the trade union oppose this government, fight for workers, fight for nurses, and defend Lucy Letby.
Yeah.
And I urge every nurse, every worker to fight alongside us in the trade unions. That's how we can advance this campaign. The trade unions have the money, the power, the influence to mount a campaign. What they lack is leadership. And lastly, so I'm on the left, and we've been accused by many other people on the left for taking up the cause of Letby. There's a ton of socialist group in Britain, but we're the only one taking up this cause. Why? Because they don't want to upset the trade union leaders. They don't want to upset the liberals who think she's a killer. Shame on them too.
Shame on them.
And so today here, we have those who have courage. Courage to stand up against one of the worst travesty of justice in modern time. And courage to say out loud what millions know to be true.
Yeah.
Lucy Letby is innocent. She was brainwalled to jail to protect a crumbling system.
Yeah.
And if we don't fight now, there'll be more Lucy Letby.
Yeah.
So that's why we say the trade union must act. Free Lucy Letby. Thank you.
Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby! Free Lucy Letby!
I noticed a little bit of a reaction there to the name of West Streeting, so I'm going to give you, it's a little bit of a clunker, but try this. Budget cuts are the real crime. West Streeting should do the time. Budget cuts are the real crime. West Streeting should do the time. Budget cuts are the real crime. West Streeting should do the time. Budget cuts are the real crime. West Streeting should do the time. Okay, I have two more speakers. The next one is Jeff Nichols. Are you there, Jeff?
Sneaking up behind you, Laura.
Thank you. I'm here because of one Peter Hitchens. He writes in that
Peter.
awful newspaper we're doing now. Long ago, he tweeted that he had thought that the Birmingham pub bombers were guilty. He was adamant that they were guilty. But a fellow journalist was taking the entirely opposite point of view. Those men were in jail for how many years, and finally they were released. They were not guilty. And it's because of Peter Hitchens, who's continuing to tweet out there, that's why I have taken an interest in this case. Much of the case has been about the opinion of one Dewey Sherlock Holmes Evans.
Dewey. Evil little man.
When you give evidence
Wicked.
in a court based on your experience, your
So-called
knowledge,
experts.
that evidence is not supposed to either be in favour of either the defence or the prosecution. It's there. I've even got the notes. I've got them in my pocket now. He broke the rules. This man is on record as having said that he's never got it wrong yet. In 35 years.
Just nobody on the planning box that. Nobody would support that.
But going back to Peter Hitchens, we don't have a free press in this country. It's controlled. And the control with the inquiry, Lucy Letby's guilt is set in stone. It's all about how we stop this happening again, how we stop a nurse murdering children again. It's set in stone. And there'll be no other discussion in that building there other than how can we stop another nurse doing this again. Shame on them. And that woman, Tables, she was prepared to take it on. Shame on her.
Shame on them.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Our next speaker is Jim Thornton.
And that's not justice, that's not how it all works.
Here you are, Jim. Thank you very much. You're going to introduce...
Well, I'm Jim Thornton. I'm a doctor, and I'm actually not the sort of person that comes to this sort of demonstration. I don't think I've ever been on a demonstration in my life. Party of
yeah, well, so.
Can I say hello?
Oh, hello there.
Are you
Hi,
Mark?
how are you? Yeah.
Your head?
What's your name, sorry? Lovely to meet you.
And there we go.
Lovely to
This is a wonderful man. Amazing YouTube channel and Sharon, yeah.
Oh, lovely,
So
lovely
thank heavens, you know, you're doing, I just said hello to Carl as well.
Fantastic.
You're wonderful. You're amazing the way you take off those bastards. Zaki, Z-A-K-I, yeah. And there's my, there we go, I've done my little...
Yes, well, absolutely.
And, yeah, there we go. Justice, welcome
Since the very first day that you started.
Oh, gosh, really?
So
It's just amazing, isn't it? And the way you take people off as well, you're
I didn't think Jane. Yeah.
Jane Pop.
No, it isn't. No, I'm not that.
Sorry, I'm only asking,
It's okay.
just in case I
You
remember.
better get bombarded, aren't you?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's not because I'm nosy, it's just because
No, I understand, and I've changed my username, which is because, no, it's not on purpose. It's just because of the you know, it's just, I'm not pulling at your heartstrings and not like that. You've got to go. But you're my weirdo. You really are, honestly.
in my life for I've never been rock.
But I remember when you first started.
Yeah.
And I was telling everyone you were going. And everyone was going. And I was like, and it has happened. But it was you though. You were the one, I think.
Can I say that I'm a doctor too, and I'm a doctor who is an expert witness, and I've got 22 years experience. And literally within days of the first verdict, I had really serious doubts. And then, luckily, there's been enough, even with the information restrictions, that I was able to see very, very clearly that this was a complete travesty of justice. And I'm not scared to say his name. Dewey Evans is a total and utter disgrace.
Yeah.
He is an absolute disgrace. And he's now been sacked. He's now left. He's not under the auspices of the GMC. But as an expert witness, he has done everything wrong. And I want to talk from a human level. How can people gang up against a person that they don't know and condemn them to life imprisonment without ever coming out? Death in prison.
Yeah.
How can anyone, have such hatred or such loathing for a person that they don't even know?
Yeah.
And I felt so strongly that I went to the second trial. So I actually sat in the courtroom at the second trial. I saw Lucy. It was a harrowing experience. It was absolutely awful, and my heart went out to her. And ever since then, it has been personal. It's as if Lucy is a member of my family. She's as close to me as anyone else. And every day I feel it. I feel her in Bronzefield Prison, the suffering that she is going through, because people who have absolutely no right to falsely accuse her of doing just that. And it is an absolute outrage. And I will do everything, and I mean absolutely everything. I left home at 3 o'clock this morning to be here. I will never, 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 never stop until she is gone. And whatever happens, I've said to my family, even if I'm meant to be in court on that day, I will be outside the Royal Courts of Justice the day she is released. And I know that you lot will never, never, never cease until that day comes. And let's never, never let hope die. She will come out. I tried to write to her in prison. I don't know whether she gets my letters. I'm going to write to the governor for clarification. But I want her to know that she has a load of people out there who adore her and just stand up for all that she's been through. I cannot even imagine. I sometimes try to put myself in her place. An innocent girl with the hatred of the entire nation against her because they have been told that she is a baby killer. When the opposite is the reality. She is the person that's been looking after babies.
Yeah.
And also, how can the consultants who are involved in this case, where there is quite clear evidence of severe medical negligence, I deal with medical negligence all the time in my role as an expert witness, how can they fold that off onto a member of their staff and throw her completely under the bus? It's just unthinkable. Thank you everyone for coming, and we will all stand together and make sure that this absolute outrage is reversed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. The next speaker is William Hallett. You are William. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you for pioneering. I'm a doctor as well. I'm a different kind of doctor. I'm a medical physicist, and I don't know how many people know, but physics is used in medicine quite a lot. So before I became a medical physicist, I was a physicist. I worked for 10 years in some peer research, and then I went to work for the health service, and I worked in health service. I worked in the health service. I've worked in academia. I've worked in industry. I think I've done 32 years in healthcare. My wife, over there, is very modest. She's done 37 years in research. And my daughter is a mental health nurse. And the things that they have to put up with in their career. I'll just give you one story that happened to my wife last year. She was out on the road picking up medicine to one of her patients. A member of the public approached her with a knife, tried to steal her car from her. What went through her mind was, I cannot let this person take my car because it's got NHS equipment in the back and it's got NHS notes in the back. So she drove off, instead of giving him the car, she drove away with the door open, this guy chasing after her with the knife. That's the sort of thing nurses have to put up with in the course of their working. We've got two wonderful children, both from the saved by the NHS. The dedication of the staff in the NHS was a very close thing. My wife nearly died, nearly bled to death after the first birth. My interest in the case started quite late actually, when I heard David Davis speaking in Parliament about the fact that we weren't allowed to see the Rachel Letby article. So I started looking into it, and what I found was it's quite clear that this was some sort of grievance that got out of hand between the doctors and the nurses. We don't know the details, but as has been said already, Lucy won her case, won her grievance case. Not satisfied with that, the two doctors then went to the police. And the rest is history. If we use the same standard of data analysis in science, in medical research that was used in the trial, then millions of people would die because medicines wouldn't work properly. Imagine you run a clinical trial where you throw away all the cases where the patient didn't respond to the medication, and you just look at those where they appeared to respond. That's what was done with the evidence against Lucy. It was cherry-picked. Just look at the so-called confession, where they cut out words, and you can still see this on the CPS website. You can still see where they cut out words where she's saying, this is what they're accusing me of, and they call that a confession. It doesn't meet the standard of a confession in a trial, but they were able to insinuate that it did. I mean, there are so many things that are appalling because we learn more about the trial. Why was she questioned about her underwear, for God's sake? What was that about? These are misogynistic tropes. Why was she attacked in that way in the court? It was to make her look guilty. It was to soften up the jury so that they had in their mind the idea that this person is a liar. Just follow the evidence. Just listen to the statisticians. Namely, we've got Richard Gill here today. Absolutely. There are many others who've looked at the evidence. Why were 10 cases where they couldn't pin it on her and ignored? 10 out of the 17. What happened there? Why isn't this inquiry looking into that? Why is this inquiry not looking into the fact that the neonatal death rate in the UK is 50% higher than it is in Sweden? Why aren't they looking at that? Why aren't they looking at the fact that maternal and neonatal death rates are rising again in the UK? They should be falling.
She'll get out.
Medical science is progressing. We know more. We know how to treat things better. Why is it getting worse? Anyway, just look at the evidence. You don't have to take my word from it. You can listen to the expert panel. We've got enough experts now coming forward to say that the babies died from natural causes or from medical negligence. I do not know who the police are now talking about when they talk about gross negligence manslaughter. If it's more nurses or managers who were simply doing their job and trying to protect this Letby from false allegations, then this country is descending into a superstitious backwater. Is that what we want for our children? Anyway, I'm probably going to get into big trouble for saying these things, but I'm still a registered healthcare professional, but I think we all need to wake up to what's going on here. We don't want judges and lawyers deciding things just based on their own arbitrary and arcane, medieval rules. We want the truth and we want justice. That's all I've got to say.
Stand up and speak out for Lucy Letby. I have two more speakers. The next one is Mark Reynolds.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Reynolds. I've come up from Bath yesterday. I was fortunate enough to bump into Mark Mays last night. We sat down and had a bit of a discussion. So, well done all of you for coming along. I'm not a doctor, I'm here to give logic and facts and evidence, which is kind of why I got interested in this case. I have sat previously in a jury on a murder trial where all of the evidence was circumstantial. And I can tell you that right from the off, the defendant is up against it, absolutely up against it. You are labelled guilty by the police, you are labelled guilty by the CPS, you are stood in a dock surrounded by security, and from there on you are in big trouble. When we got to the end of the case that I was on, I couldn't even believe it got to court. It was so weak, it was ridiculous. I thought we'd be in the jury room, 20 minutes, we'd be down the pub, because quite frankly, there was nothing there. But no, we had at least 5 members of the jury who were already in the guilty camp. They had listened to the story, they had taken on the story. That was a two-week case. The jury in Lucy Letby's case, 10 months. 10 months they were spun the same golden thread. The same thread of the babies were stable. No, they weren't. The babies don't suddenly collapse. Yes, they do. Babies don't always respond to CPR. It turns out 60% of them don't. So, I mean, it's all been said about what has happened to Lucy, but all of this is indicative, I think, of our society and our institutions now. We've got the NHS, which for two road consultants, and there's massive failures there. Then we move on to Chester Police. Well, what can you say about them? They're at the top of the league of incompetence at best.
Corruption.
Absolutely unbelievable. We have the CPS then interfere with their inquiry and tell them to drop the statistician, which they've engaged with, because that's not bearing fruit. That's not the answer they want to hear. So that's been ditched. We then, of course, have Dr. Dewey Evans inviting himself into the police inquiry. He's not vetted, he doesn't have a medical licence, he hasn't practiced for 15 years. We have a judge who was told he's a wrong from the previous judge in the trial. It's all there, it's all there. We have a judge who instructs the jury they can find Lucy guilty beyond reasonable doubt, even if they're not beyond reasonable doubt, on how she actually carried out the harm. How on earth does that work? He denied the jury hearing the reports from the organisation to come in and done research actually on the hospital and concluded that that unit was in a sorry state. But that wasn't relevant to the case. How was that not relevant to the case? It just goes on and on and on. And of course the other point that someone else pointed out is that when the consultants went to the police should have considered those consultants prime suspects. Not allowed them to lead their investigation and along with Dewey Evans lead them down the yellow brick road to his pot of gold and then bang up a nurse. So all she did was went to work for 60 hours a week in the NHS. And now we have that show over the road there. Well, what can you say? A witch hunt has just been rubber stamped.
Yeah.
So I hope Lady Thurl's going to take that out because she's been given an out by Mark MacDonald, Lucy Letby's barrister. Because if she ends up carrying on with this inquiry and getting to the autumn when she puts her report out, and Lucy Letby's been free, she's going to be looking pretty stupid. So I think she does press pause today, because I think she needs to, and give some of the evidence that's come out of that thorough inquiry to the CCRC, because we know from what's gone on in there that certain individuals, certain witnesses, have said completely different things in there to what they said in court. It's all there, ladies and gentlemen, but at the moment, people don't want to see it, including the BBC, who seemed very reluctant to show any interest in this part of the proceedings. They were very interested in the thorough inquiry itself, and had a journalistic report every day for Lucy Letby's 10-month trial. But I've complained to them and said, why are you not covering this? And they don't deny they're not covering it. So, well done everybody for coming along, well done everybody for raising the profile, and let's hope we get some press coverage. And let's hope we finally get to where we actually should be and this year. I hope this year Lucy will be free. I've got a pint on it with a guy down the pub, so it's really important.
Thank you very much, Mark. And our last speaker, the last word goes to a nurse who works in the National Health Service. She will introduce herself. Following that, we're going to have a rendition of You'll Never Walk Alone for Lucy Letby. And then as we're taking things down, on account of that it's St. Patrick's Day, Dan is also going to do the Fields of Athenry for us. So here we have a nurse to speak.
Hi, I apologise for my disguise, but I am one of the... Sorry. I am a nurse within this NHS who is terrified. We're terrified of standing up for Lucy publicly, not anonymously. This witch hunt needs to stop. We was first hunted as witches, as neighbours looking after our friends. We were herbalists and burnt at the stake, and now the modern witchery is happening across the road. Lucy Letby should not be in prison. We have 14 international experts who have quite categorically and meticulously gone through each and every note and have said there's no murders that have occurred here. Why are the government not listening? Why is West Streeting telling us all to be quiet? You need to listen to your health professionals. And I implore the public, please help your nurses. We're leaving in droves, we're frightened. We're frightened of our management were frightened of our nursing council, and we're frightened that we're going to end up in prison. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that speech. And now Dan is just moving around here to the front because we're going to do You'll Never Walk Alone. Just let him come through. Thank you very much. Brings his own sound system. Okay, so now with feeling, even those of you that are not Liverpool supporters, I hope you know the words and sing it with feeling. Even the Man United supporters have to sing it. Everton can sing it as well, why not? Newcastle, oh yes, we have a Newcastle supporter here. Woo! You have your own microphone. So much, Dan, for providing the music. And now, as we're all, just before we all go to the pub, there's a drink in it for Dan if you do the Fields of Athenry just on account of St. Patrick's Day. It's about, actually, somebody who's wrongfully convicted of stealing food during the famine in Ireland and is being sent on a prison ship to Australia. So let's hear it.
Waiting in the bay. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. So lonely round the fields of Athenry. Lose Lucy when you're free. Against the feathers and the crown, I rebelled, they ran me down. You must raise our child in dignity. No lie the fields that we run, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's a lonely ride, to laugh and run. By a lonely harbor wall, watch the last of falling. That prison ship sailed out against the sky. Sure, I'll wait and hope and pray for my love in Miami Bay. It's so lonely round the fields of last and wine. Roll by the fields at the mine, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of wrath and wine. It's so lonely round the fields of wrath and wine.
Sorry, I should have been there with you.
Lucy in the sky, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. 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 Lucy in the sky with diamonds.
Thank you very much, Dan. Now, just before we all disperse, can we all move in together close to the banner for one last group photograph that shows that we were all here. So cluster together, bring your banners in, make sure that all the signs and all the banners can be seen. Then move in a little bit, move in tight. Yeah, justice for Lucy Letby, yeah. 3 minutes walk.
Sonia Poulton is here in Liverpool, and she's going to be here, right here at 11 o'clock, live streaming on the Lucy Letby issue. So, yeah, everyone needs to get back here for 11 o'clock if you can make it. She's going to be here for that, and it'll be fantastic if everyone can be here at 11 o'clock to back her up on what she's going to be doing here. Okay? Thank you very much.